Good morning, sixth graders. We're almost done. In today's topic, we're going to learn multiplying fractions with integers. Like I told you before, what better way to teach math but with an example? Today's example is -7/9 times 18/21. What do we do first? You're going to crisscross to look for your greatest common factor. We're going to use the opposite numbers of each fraction to identify it. In this step, we're going to look for the greatest common factors. Remember that you look for your factors, numbers that make up 7 in this case, a number that makes up 21. And then the other opposite numbers, numbers that make up 9 and numbers that make up 18. So, numbers that make up 7, 1 and 7. Numbers that make up 21, 1, 3, 7, and 21. So you're going to circle the biggest number between the two lists, that is going to be 7. You're going to do the same thing to the other two numbers. Numbers that make up 9, 1, 3, and 9. And numbers that make up 18, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. So both of them have in common 9. That is the biggest number. With the greatest common factor that we found in the slide before, you're going to divide your opposite numbers with that greatest common factor. For example, 7 divided by 7 will also be used in 21. So 21 divided by 7. And the opposite numbers of 9 divided by 9 will also be used in 18. So 18 divided by 9. So your new fractions will be -1/1 times 2/3, because we simplified inside the fractions. After we simplified our fractions internally, we're going to apply the integer rules. In this example, we have a negative fraction and a positive fraction. So, the multiplying and dividing integer rules tells you if the signs are different, your answer is going to be negative. After our fractions are simplified, the last thing to do is multiply across normally. In this example, you're going to multiply 1 times 2, that gives me 2, and 1 times 3, that gives me 3. And your answer is going to be negative. Let's try another example. -4/5 times -7/8. Our first step, crisscross for GCF. In this example, you're going to look for the GCF of 4 and 8 and 5 and 7. Remember that our GCF, we look for it with factors, the numbers that make up 4 and the numbers that make up 8. The number in common between 4 and 8 is 4. 5 and 7 doesn't have a greatest common factor, so you're not going to simplify it. Some of your examples will have greatest common factors for the two opposite numbers, only for one, or some of them will have for none. To simplify the fractions internally, we need our greatest common factor that we found it in the slide before, that is going to be 4. So we're going to divide our opposite numbers of 4 and 8 by that 4. And remember that 5 and 7 doesn't have a greatest common factor, so we're going to leave it like that. Our new fractions are going to be -1/5 times -7/2. The next thing to do is apply the integer rules. In the example that we have here, both of the fractions are negative. And the integer rules for multiplying and dividing states that if both of the numbers or fractions have the same sign, your answer is going to be positive. Finally, what we have to do is multiply across normally. In this case, 1 times 7 is 7, and 5 times 2 is 10. And your answer is positive because we apply the integer rules of both numbers negative, so your answer is going to be positive. It's your turn to try it. Your example is going to be 5/6 times negative 2/3. You can pause the video to solve the problem. Did you get it correct? Your answer should be negative 5/9. Well guys, I hope this video helps you solve the problems you have in your worksheet. See you soon.